Have you ever wondered why the more you explain yourself, the less people seem to respect you? Why is it that the louder you argue, the smaller you actually feel inside? And why does it seem like the ones who say the least somehow hold the most power in every room? Think about it. Is silence weakness, or is it the most underrated weapon we've all been ignoring? Answer this for yourself in the comments right now, because today, you're going to see the brutal psychology behind why silence earns respect, and why begging, chasing, or arguing never will. Most people believe power is loud. They think it's about having the last word. They think it's about proving yourself, over and over. But here's the truth. The strongest people don't waste words. They don't beg. They don't argue. And they never explain themselves to those who already decided not to listen. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams, who looks inside, awakes." If you're always chasing validation outside yourself, you'll always be dreaming. But when you turn inward, when you control your impulses, you wake up. And when you wake up, people see it. They feel it. And they respect it. The Stoics knew this too. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength isn't in convincing others. Strength is in restraint. It's in holding silence, when others expect you to break." In this video, you're going to learn 5 brutal laws of silence. Simple, but powerful rules that flip the balance of respect in your favor. Rules that will feel uncomfortable at first, because you'll want to explain. You'll want to argue. You'll want to prove yourself. That's normal. But inside that discomfort is the lever that flips the balance of power. So if you're tired of being taken for granted, if you're done explaining yourself to people who don't deserve your words, stay. Watch every rule. Try them for a week. At first, people will notice the difference. Then, they'll respect it. And soon, they'll assume your confidence was always there. So here's my challenge to you. Drop a comment right now, and answer this. Do you think silence is power, or do you think it's weakness? Your answer will tell me a lot about how you see yourself, and maybe, how the world already sees you. And one last thing before we begin. If you want more raw, practical psychology like this, content that cuts deep and gives you tools to use in real life, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. This channel is about mastering yourself, so no one else can control you. Now, let's get into it. Let's uncover why silence is your greatest weapon. Number 1, why silence is a weapon. Silence has always been misunderstood. People mistake it for weakness. They think if you're not speaking, you're losing. If you're not defending yourself, you're being defeated. But silence is none of that. Silence is control. And control is respect. Think about a courtroom. The lawyer argues. The witness explains. The crowd whispers. And the judge sits in silence. Who holds the most power in that room? Not the one with the loudest voice, but the one who doesn't need to raise it. Silence is a weapon, because it creates discomfort. Most people are terrified of quiet moments. They rush to fill the air with words. Excuses. Explanations. Arguments. The one who holds silence controls the rhythm of the conversation. They force the other person to reveal themselves. They create space, and in that space, people show their true character. Carl Jung believed silence was not emptiness, but depth. He once wrote, "In each of us there is another, whom we do not know. When you go quiet, that other self speaks louder. And people around you feel it. It makes them uncertain. It makes them respect you." Now let's look at the Stoics. Seneca warned, "It is better to conquer our grief than to deceive it." What does that mean? It means, when emotions rise, silence conquers. Shouting, begging, pleading, only deceives. It gives away power. But silence keeps your dignity untouched. Here's why silence works in psychology. Humans crave certainty. When you stay silent, you create uncertainty. The other person begins to wonder. What are they thinking? Why aren't they reacting? Do they know something I don't? That's when silence becomes a mirror. Their insecurities, fears, and doubts get louder, while you stay steady. And that steady presence looks like strength. Think of someone you admire. A mentor. A leader. A person you respect. Do they waste words? Or do they speak less, but each word cuts deeper? Respect doesn't come from volume. It comes from control. And silence is ultimate control. But here's the brutal truth. Silence isn't easy. It will feel heavy in your chest. You'll want to argue back. You'll want to explain your side. You'll want to beg for understanding. And in that moment, silence will feel like losing. But stay with it. Hold it. Because on the other side of that discomfort lies respect. People don't respect what comes cheap. And silence is never cheap. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Think about that for a second. If the words you're about to say don't serve truth or purpose, why give them away? Why waste your energy on noise, when silence says more? Silence is a weapon, because it breaks patterns. Everyone expects the argument. Everyone expects the reaction. But when you don't give it, they lose their balance. And you keep your power. That's why the strongest people in history, from philosophers to leaders, all mastered silence. They understood, respect isn't demanded. It's commanded. And silence commands more respect than begging or arguing ever will. Now that you understand why silence works, it's time to learn how to use it. In the next part, I'll give you 5 brutal laws of silence. Rules that will transform how people see you, and how you see yourself. Stay with me. Because once you know these laws, you'll never waste your words the same way again. Number 3, the brutal psychology of silence. Silence isn't just a habit. It's psychology. It rewires how people perceive you, and how you perceive yourself. Carl Jung taught that every person carries a shadow. A hidden side we don't show the world. When you argue, beg, or over-explain, you hand people the keys to your shadow. They see your insecurities. They see your fear of rejection. And once they see it, they use it. But when you stay silent, the shadow stays yours. And that mystery becomes power. Jung believed respect doesn't come from exposure. It comes from restraint. The less you reveal, the more people wonder. And the more they wonder, the more they respect. Modern psychology proves this too. There's something called the scarcity principle. The harder it is to access something, the more valuable it becomes. When you're always available, always easy to reach, always explaining yourself, you become common, predictable, replaceable. But when you hold back, when you respond less, when you let silence hang in the air, you create scarcity. And scarcity creates value. Another brutal fact: people judge confidence by body language, not by words. Studies show that long pauses, calm eye contact, and silence signal dominance. Why? Because the anxious mind rushes to fill gaps. The powerful mind doesn't. Think about the last argument you had. Who looked weaker? The one who couldn't stop talking? Or the one who stayed calm and silent, while the other burned out their energy? Jung also spoke about projection. We project our fears onto others. When you go silent, people project onto you. They fill in the gaps with their own imagination. Some see wisdom. Some see strength. Some see mystery. But almost no one sees weakness. That's the psychology of silence. It lets others build your image for you. And what they imagine is almost always more powerful than what you could have explained. Now let's get brutally honest. Silence also exposes people. When you stop arguing, others keep talking. They reveal their insecurities. They overexplain. They show their shadow. And all you had to do was stay quiet. But here's the hard part. Silence doesn't just test them. It tests you. It forces you to sit with your own discomfort. Your own need for validation. Your own fear of being misunderstood. This is where Jung's psychology and Stoic philosophy meet. The Stoics taught us to master what we can control. Jung taught us to face what's inside us. Silence forces both. And that's why silence is brutal. It feels unnatural at first. It feels like losing ground. But the truth is, every time you hold silence instead of explaining, you're training your mind. You're rewiring your psychology. You're teaching yourself that you don't need to be understood to be respected. Modern therapists call this response inhibition. It's the ability to pause before reacting. And it's directly linked to emotional intelligence. The higher your ability to pause, the more control you have over your life. So think about this. Every silence you hold is not empty. It's training. It's power. It's rewiring your brain to choose dignity over impulse. Carl Jung once warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Every time you break silence to argue or beg, that's your unconscious controlling you. But when you master silence, you master yourself. That's the brutal psychology of silence. It makes you valuable. It makes you respected. And most importantly, it makes you unshakable. Now, it's time to get practical. In the next part, you'll discover the 5 brutal laws of silence. Concrete rules you can apply today, rules that will flip every conversation, every relationship, and every room you walk into. Stay with me. Because this is where silence stops being an idea and becomes your weapon. Number 4, the 5 brutal laws of silence. Law number 1, never beg. The first law is simple. Never beg. The moment you beg, you give away all your power. Begging doesn't create respect. It creates pity, or worse, contempt. People don't respect what is desperate. They respect what is rare. So when you feel the urge to beg for attention, for love, for approval, stop. Hold your ground. Stay silent. Because the one who begs is always beneath the one they beg from. And the one who can stay silent rises above. Law number 2, never argue. The second law is never argue. Arguments are traps. No one wins them. Even if you win, you lose. Why? Because arguing proves you care too much about what the other person thinks. And when you care too much, you lose respect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When someone tries to provoke you, don't become like them. Don't lower yourself to their noise. Stay calm. Stay quiet. Let them exhaust themselves. In silence, they reveal who they are. In silence, you reveal who you are. Law number 3, speak less, mean more. The third law is speak less, mean more. Every word you say should carry weight. The more you speak, the cheaper your words become. The less you speak, the more valuable every word becomes. This is why silence is powerful. It turns your words into currency. Think of a wise mentor you've met. Did they waste words? Or did they say little, but every sentence stayed with you for years? That's the goal. Make your words expensive. Make silence your default. And when you do speak, people will listen. Law number 4, control the frame. The fourth law is control the frame. Every conversation has a frame. It's the perspective that defines the meaning. If someone insults you, they're trying to pull you into their frame. If you argue back, you've already lost. Because you accepted their terms. But silence breaks the frame. When you don't react, the insult loses power. The other person is left hanging, wondering why their words didn't land. Psychologists call this frame control. The one who defines the frame, defines the outcome. Silence lets you hold the frame. It shows you're not playing by their rules. You're playing by your own. Law number 5, disappear to increase value. The fifth and final law is disappear to increase value. This is the law most people are too afraid to use. But it's the most powerful. Sometimes, you don't just stay silent in a moment. You go silent for days. You step back. You vanish. And in that absence, people realize your worth. It's human nature. We don't value what's always there. We value what we fear losing. This is why silence isn't just a momentary tactic. It's a lifestyle. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you train people to treat you. When you disappear, you remind them. You are not cheap. You are not replaceable. You are not always available. And that scarcity makes you priceless. The summary of the laws. So remember these 5 brutal laws. Never beg. Never argue. Speak less, mean more. Control the frame. And disappear to increase value. Each law is a blade. Sharp. Dangerous. But only if you have the courage to use it. At first, you'll fail. You'll slip. You'll argue back. You'll explain when you shouldn't. You'll text when you should have stayed silent. That's normal. But the more you practice, the sharper your silence becomes. Until one day, you realize you don't chase anymore. You don't explain anymore. You don't beg anymore. And yet, people respect you more than ever. Because silence has done what words never could. Number 5, stories and examples. Let's make this real. Imagine 2 people in an argument. One is shouting, red in the face, veins bulging in the neck. The other is calm. Silent. Watching. Who looks weaker? And who looks stronger? The answer is obvious. Think about relationships. The person who begs for love, loses it. The person who argues for attention, pushes it further away. But the one who can stay silent, the one who can walk away. That's the one who ends up respected, even desired. It's brutal. But it's true. History proves this too. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He didn't need to shout his power. His silence and decision, his restraint, made men follow him. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wrote letters filled with calm reflection, never rage. His silence in the face of chaos is what made his words echo through centuries. Even Nietzsche, the philosopher of will and strength, lived by silence. He once said, "Silence is worse, all truths that are kept silent become poisonous." He understood silence wasn't absence. It was a presence more powerful than noise. Now bring it back to modern life. You're at work. Your boss criticizes you unfairly. One reaction is to argue back, defend yourself, explain. But another reaction is silence. Looking them in the eye. Holding steady. Letting the weight of your presence say what words can't. What do you think leaves a stronger impression? The noise of defense? Or the silence of confidence? Or picture this. You text someone. They don't reply. You feel the urge to double text. Triple text. Explain why you reached out. Beg for attention. But what happens if you don't? If you stay silent, you flip the frame. They start to wonder. They start to think. And slowly, the power shifts back to you. Silence works everywhere. With friends. With partners. With enemies. Because silence isn't about ignoring people. It's about teaching them how to treat you. When you go silent, you set the terms. You say, "I will not beg. I will not argue. And I will not explain myself to people who don't respect me." And that message, without words, is louder than any speech you could give. But let's not romanticize this. Silence isn't easy. It burns inside. It feels like swallowing fire. When you stay silent, people may misunderstand you. They may even accuse you of arrogance. That's fine. Because in time, they'll realize your silence wasn't arrogance. It was discipline. It was dignity. It was control. And deep down, people respect what they cannot control. And deep down, people respect what they cannot control. They respect what doesn't chase. They respect what stands firm. That's why silence is so brutal and so powerful. It breaks arguments. It flips relationships. It commands respect. Not because you force it, but because you refuse to lose it. Number 6, respect and relationships. Respect. Everyone wants it. Few people get it. And here's the truth. Respect isn't given to the loudest voice in the room. It's given to the one who doesn't need to fight for it. When you beg, you lose respect. When you argue, you lose respect. When you explain yourself to people who don't care, you lose respect. But when you stay silent, when you hold your ground without words, people are forced to give you what you refuse to ask for. Respect. Think about relationships. The person who is always available, always texting back instantly, always explaining themselves, becomes predictable. Predictable soon becomes boring. And boring becomes disposable. But the person who can stay silent, the one who doesn't always reply, the one who doesn't need to explain, that person creates tension. Mystery. Respect. Because respect is never given to what comes cheap. Respect is given to what feels rare. In friendships, it's the same. The one who chases is taken for granted. The one who holds back is valued. Even in family, silence commands attention. When you stop explaining yourself at every turn, people learn to respect your boundaries. They realize, you are not a child anymore. You are a person with dignity. In love, silence is brutal, but powerful. When someone disrespects you, arguing won't change it. Begging won't fix it. Explaining won't save it. But silence forces them to feel the weight of what they've done. It shows them you will not trade dignity for attention. Sometimes silence will end the relationship. Sometimes it will save it. But either way, it will protect your respect. And here's the part most people miss. Silence isn't just about how others treat you. It's about how you treat yourself. When you stop chasing, stop arguing, stop explaining, you start respecting yourself. And once you respect yourself, the world follows. That's why silence is more than just a tactic. It's a mirror. It reflects how much value you give to yourself. And the more value you give to yourself, the more others give to you. Respect doesn't start in their eyes. It starts in yours. And silence is how you show it. So let's bring it all together. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Silence is power. It's the weapon no one expects. It's the strength no one can take away. Never beg. Never argue. Never explain to people who have already chosen not to listen. Because every time you stay silent, you're training yourself. Training your mind to hold power. Training your soul to value itself. Training others to respect what you refuse to cheapen. Carl Jung taught that what you hold inside shapes the life you live. The Stoics taught that control of the self is control of the world. Silence is where these two meet. It's where psychology and philosophy merge into one truth. Respect comes to those who don't demand it with words, but command it with presence. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment right now, and answer this. Do you believe silence is truly a weapon, or do you still see it as weakness? Your answer matters, not just for you, but for this community. Because when you speak your truth, you help others see theirs. And if this video gave you value, if it opened your eyes to the brutal psychology of respect, then don't walk away in silence. Show your support. Hit subscribe. Turn on the bell. Because here at Behind Mind's Secret, we dig deep. We uncover the hidden truths that most people ignore. This is not just another motivation channel. This is your place to master the unseen side of life. The side that shapes respect. The side that shapes power. The side that shapes you. So remember this. Silence is not empty. It's full of answers. Silence is not weakness. It's strength. Silence is not absence. It's presence. And the sooner you learn to wield it, the sooner the world will see you, not as someone to ignore, but as someone they cannot afford to disrespect. This was Behind Mind's Secret. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.